All right, Pisces. So for you, we've got number 3, which is chaos. It says this card represents the shapeless primordial soup, the alchemist's receptacle, the palette held by the artist before he starts painting, as shown in the art card. Technical ability and knowledge are ready and abundant, but the final execution and the right route are needed to avoid dispersion. Without quick and aware action, you face the risk of drifting away, feeding entropy, or remaining trapped in a stalled situation. The advice: it is time for action. Analyze and choose all the opportunities available to you quickly without fear of cutting something out. All right. It's time for action, Pisces. Let's see how this plays out for Pisces. What's the message for Pisces? 7 of Cups. What's the message for Pisces? The message for Pisces. We've got the Star. Ooh, okay. We've got the Hanged Man. The 5 of Cups. The Ace of Cups. Wow. Okay. What's the message for Pisces? The 9 of Pentacles. The Moon. Ooh. All right. Nice. The 6 of Cups. One more. And the 7 of Pentacles. Ooh, nice collection here. With Temperance, Wheel of Fortune, 7 of Wands. Okay. All right, Pisces. We're going to put this in over here so it's a little bit more clear. Very, very interesting layout. You know what's so fascinating is that I feel like the solar eclipse that's coming up tomorrow, because I'm doing this on Friday. So by the time you're watching this, the solar eclipse might already be in full effect. It is bringing such a massive amount of change for almost every sign. It's rare that I'm seeing somebody not affected by this solar eclipse. So for you, you've got some balancing out to do, some moderation. You're being encouraged to use moderation. Because I feel like you're going to be given a lot of multiple things. And I'm saying multiple because we got the 7 of Cups. It's not just 2. 7 of Cups. You're about to be given a lot of multiple things or multiple energy sources. And for some of you with the Star here, you might even go viral. You might get famous overnight. And what's interesting is that we've got the Star and the 7 of Cups, which tells me that you have brought into reality, because in this deck, the 7 of Cups are not floating. It's not some fantasy. This is somebody who's putting, they're putting them in order. They're putting them in a little cabinet. So you have already brought into reality, or that's what you're doing. Because remember, the advice is to take action. You're bringing into reality things that you've been working on, like projects that you've had in your head. I think with the Hangman here, you've been in a pause. And honestly, you might get some sort of download. I feel like it could be, you might have 7 different projects. Honestly, you might have more, but at least 7. And you might be getting downloads on one at a time. But it's going to still feel quick. It's going to feel very fast. That's why you're being advised, action, take action, because as soon as you receive the download, move. Another download, move. Put it into action, because that's how you avoid getting overwhelmed. That's how you avoid being in a state of chaos, because it only starts feeling chaotic when you are hoarding the ideas, when you're hoarding the energy. If you're putting it into, if you're applying it, it's going to help, balance it out. Because the way I'm seeing it in my head, it's almost like you're going to feel like you're in a pressure cooker, because there's so much energy you're holding, which is why, they're saying, well, channel it, put it somewhere, take action. Otherwise, you're going to start feeling stagnant and at the same time really chaotic because you've got all this pent up energy that you're not putting anywhere. You're not really giving it a place to exist, to thrive. I just realized this blends too much. You can't even tell it's there. So action is what's going to keep you from, feeling like you're going to implode, basically. And obviously, because I'm talking to a collective of Pisces, you will be at different places for this happening. For some of you, you've just begun the pause. For others, you're coming out of the pause. And it's now time to take action. But with the Five of Cups followed by the Moon, I feel like there's things, there's certain emotions that you're really scared of. There's not emotions, or for some of you, maybe it is emotions, but there's certain things that you're really scared that that's what's going to happen. So let's say that this is a creative project and maybe you have a band, maybe you have a group where you play music, y'all sing together. And there's this fear of like, oh my God, if we go big, we're going to fall apart. Like all the famous bands do. We're going to fall apart. We're going to hate each other. We're going to start fighting, blah, blah. Like you're letting your fears and whatever it is that you can't predict, you can't control, you're letting that put you in this place of like really negative energy. And you're trying to stay stuck with the Six of Cups here. Look at all the cups. First of all, a lot of emotion. Five of Cups, Six of Cups, Seven of Cups, Ace of Cups, and the Moon is also emotion. Even the Star is sitting in water. That's why they keep telling you need to chill. That's why temperance is the overall energy. You need to relax because you're putting way too much emphasis on your emotional state, but not in a good way. Like you're letting your emotions. If you're going to let your emotions overwhelm you, at least use them positively. Use your emotions as a way to, push you in the right direction. But the way you're using your emotions, it's like you're freaking out and all your fears are coming to the surface, and they're like, allow the fears to come to the surface, process them, use a more grounded approach. Like, okay, if what I'm scared of is that we're going to fight, what type of things could I do to avoid the band fighting? Could I make sure that they all get, the appropriate time off? Improve our communication skills, make sure that everybody gets paid the same amount, nobody gets, special treatment. You can do things to prevent whatever it is that you're afraid of. You can do things to prevent it. But that's not what you're doing. You're just wallowing. You're letting your emotions take over and just sit in them instead of processing and doing something with it. For some of you with the Nine of Pentacles, this could mean two different things because, again, I've been seeing so much transformation all across the signs. You may be about to be single for some of you, and the fear of being single is overwhelming you. For others, you may be about to hit it big time, and you're afraid money is going to overwhelm you. With the Star here, as soon as it came out, that's why I said, wow, when it came out, because the song of Megan Thee Stallion started playing in my head. Let me look at the lyrics. Hold on. It's the song called Mamushi. I don't know if I'm saying that wrong. But she's basically saying, I get money, I'm a star. That's what started playing in my head. Star. I get money, I'm a star. And then she's just basically flexing. If you go listen to the song, that's basically what she's doing. She's flexing the whole song about how much she can do, what she can afford. So that might be what you're afraid of. You're afraid that you're going to turn into someone who's always flexing. And I will say money amplifies who we are. If this is who you naturally are, if you're somebody who does like flexing on people, then maybe, yeah, that might be a part of it. And you are in the process of basically really seeing who you are. So if you don't like that, if you want to change that, work on it. Instead of letting the fear control you, you have the chance to change that. You have the chance to work on that right now. Because with the Seven of Pentacles, like there's a lot of calculation that really needs to happen here. Because it's asking you, look at it. It's like a giant abacus where where it's being calculated, like where are you putting this energy? What have you invested? What have you gained? How much have you progressed? What success have you created for yourself? That's what the Seven of Pentacles is for. So Seven of Cups is matching the Seven of Pentacles, because this means that what you've been doing is paying off. The artistic projects or the creative projects that you have brought into reality are paying off. And it's like, okay, is the fear that you have going to change what you're creating? Because it can, if you allow it to. Are you going to be in this place of either being afraid of who you are, who you're going to turn into, being afraid of losing it, being afraid of losing the people you have in your life? Like, there's a lot of reasons to be afraid, but the thing is, even if you stay where you're at, you're still going to live in fear, because fear is not, it's not dependent on what you have or what you don't have. I just feel like you're very, you're in this state of telling yourself, the more I have, the more it'll hurt if I lose it. So you're trying to keep the stakes very small, because the less you have, you've convinced yourself that it'll hurt less. But in reality, not really, because you're Pisces, which means that you care deeply, which is why there's all these emotions. You care very deeply about whatever it is that you're doing. So trying to stay detached, trying to stay disconnected isn't getting you anywhere, because wherever you're at, you're still going to care. You're still going to worry. Even, let's say that the band, right? Because we're talking about a band. Let's say that you have a band with your friends. So let's say you don't make it big. Then you're always going to worry, what if they walk away because we didn't make it big, because we didn't reach the level of success that we wanted? What if then they walk away? What if they, especially if you feel responsible for it, what if they stop talking to me? There's always going to be fear if you allow fear to be the predominant emotion. But if you allow yourself to process that fear, face it, acknowledge it's coming from your subconscious, acknowledge the beliefs of where that fear is coming from, so that you can transform it, so you can change that. Honestly, that's what I keep seeing on any level. I keep seeing the potential with the Ace of Cups. You're going to be getting downloads on how to face these fears, but having the knowledge about how to face your fears, how to transmute that energy, doesn't really do you any good unless you take action. And that's what the Chaos card was about, right? You've got all this potential, but potential isn't going to get you anywhere unless you act along with it. So whatever your fears are, whatever your insecurities are, you're going to have to learn to moderate them. You're going to have to learn to, this is also alchemy, right? So yes, for some short amount of time, you can use alchemy, as in the emotion itself is the source of creation. So you can think of it like, alchemy is also cooking, right? You have a whole bunch of ingredients, and then when you mix them together and prepare them a certain way, it creates a delicious dish, right? So you can take all the fear and the sadness and transform it into energy that pushes you forward. But unless you get to the bottom of those beliefs, it'll create instability still. So it's like alchemy is a short-term fix. Alchemy is like, you can do this for a certain amount of time, but eventually what they really want you to do is sit in those emotions and process them. Go deep into your subconscious, journal possibly, write it out. I don't see this being about relationship, because this energy is kind of single to me, but it could be. Maybe your fears of ending up single. So journal it, write it out. If worst case scenario, if you ended up single, what would that mean to you? Why is it so terrifying? And dig. If you end up, let's say that this is about prosperity and you're terrified of okay, but if I end up with all this money, what if I blow it? What if I mess it up? Okay, worst case scenario, that happens. Then what? What does that mean to you? And why is that something so terrifying? If this is about your band falling apart, okay, worst case scenario, let's say that does happen. What does that mean? And why is that so threatening to you, to the point where you'd rather sabotage yourself instead of moving forward. That's what they're trying to get you to do. That's how you really moderate and balance out these emotions, because a lot of the fears that we have, they're coming from childhood. They're coming from when we were programmed to think a certain way. And then when we're stuck in that mentality, like, well, that's what we were taught, that's how things go, that's reality. Then you destabilize your future because you're going off of negative beliefs that are not most likely true. Like, when you're little, your parents might say things like, oh, if you swallow that gum, all your intestines are going to get stuck to each other and blah, blah, blah. That's not true, right? That's something that parents tell children to scare them into obeying, into not swallowing their gum. But whatever beliefs you've been taught, they're obviously affecting you. They're creating a lot of emotional instability. It's a lot more heavy than just, the belief of swallowing your gum. So that's why your guides are trying to point it out and get you to acknowledge, go into the depth of where these beliefs are coming from, where this fear is coming from. What would it mean? Does it mean, like, are you terrified that in the end, everybody's going to realize that you're unworthy? Are you terrified that at the end, everybody's going to realize that you weren't that good, that you weren't that, either you weren't a good person or you weren't a good artist? And then what? Is that all it takes for you to paralyze yourself and self-sabotage and say, you know what, I'm not going to move forward because this is too scary, this is too terrifying, I can't be in the public eye? And what I mean by public eye is going to vary, because again, this is a Pisces collective, right? For some of you, this literally just means maybe it's a promotion where everybody in the town is going to know about you. Or it's a position where everybody in the city is going to know about you. Whatever it is, public eye is relative, right? Subjective, depending on your situation. But are you going to put yourself in this, like, I'm going to freeze everything. Even if the energy just keeps building up, the energy just keeps growing. And then I feel all this pressure because, I'm holding the energy in, I'm hoarding it instead of releasing it, letting it flow, because I'm so terrified of messing it up. Because that would be incredibly sad to put yourself in that position. But that's what I feel here. That's what I feel you are possibly doing if you're not careful. Don't remain stagnant, because the feeling of chaos is only going to get stronger, okay? So that's what I got for you, Pisces. I hope that this brought you some element of clarity or guidance. And as usual, I look forward to feedback. Love you guys. Bye-bye.